Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 166. I was white here. Kicked off with e4, and my opponent played e6, the French defense. Now we had a French defense recently, but we get into a different line. I play knight c3 as usual, and last time I played the French, my opponent responded with bishop b4 there, the win hour. But this time my opponent played knight f6, the classical. So main move here is bishop g5, which is a fine move, and I play that myself. But for variety, I play the move e5 as well. This is known as the Steinitz variation. The knight has to retreat, and then you play f4. So you get a big center here, which black immediately goes about undermining. And you defend, and black attacks, and you defend. Yeah, recently I just became aware of the move knight e2 is a possibility here, which is kind of interesting. I'll try that sometime. Knight e2, just getting out of the way of the c-pawn and trying to shore up the center. This bishop e3 move is a main line and can lead to some very sharp positions. So knight e2 maybe is a way to avoid some of that theory. So yes, the sharpest reply here is queen b6. If you want to play something safe, you could just take on d4 and then develop your dark squared bishop to c4 or b5. And that seems to be an okay way to play. But here, if you're going to play this move, you should probably know a little bit of the theory. So I'll go ahead and show it. The knight comes here to attack the queen and try and win the pawn on c5. And then the queen goes to a5 check. My opponent played queen b4 check, which is just not as good. So the main line goes like this: queen a5 check, and c3, and then taking. It looks like c4 is an option here. Let's see, what would happen after c4? There's a danger here that this knight is getting trapped. So there's a threat of black to play the move b5, I guess. But it's not that much of a trap. After b5, the knight could hop into c5. Okay, and then the main move from white here is b4, which is interesting in other lines too, and then the queen goes back to c7. Not too scary. So the tricky line here is c takes d4. And now the thing you need to know is it's actually not safe to take back this pawn. Again, it's because of this idea of trapping the knight. So, for example, if knight takes here first, bishop takes, and then the move b5, and this knight has nowhere to go. So there's a certain amount of wriggling and squirming that can be done. Oh, I guess the knight can go to c5. But it's good for black. So you want to avoid that. And instead, after c takes d4, after c takes d4, you don't let's get back here. You don't play knight takes d4. You play the move b4 first, hitting the queen. So this is the main line. And if the queen just goes back to c7 or d8, then white has a good game. He's gained some space, and now it's safe to take the pawn. So what black doesn't set is he sacrifices a knight, and so this is the line. And then bishop takes here with check, and then the bishop comes back here to block the check. Bishop takes d2, knight takes d2. All this is pretty much forced. And then black can play b6 here, can castle. Okay, so different things can happen at this point. And the idea is that black has got 3 pawns for the piece. And the computer rates this position as about even, so it's an interesting way to play. White does have an extra piece, but maybe his development isn't all that well coordinated. And black is going to eventually try and get this move f6 in and try and get a big mass of pawns in the center, which can be quite dangerous. So there's a double-edged position with chances for both sides. So anyway, let's go back to the game. I just wanted to show you that. So that's queen a5 after knight a4. So my opponent played queen b5, b4 check. similar idea. You know, he's forking the king and the knight, and you have this move c3 again. But the advantage here is you're also attacking the queen, so the queen has to go somewhere, and now he's losing this pawn. And it's not actually safe for the bishop to take this pawn. I forgot about this point during the game. But if bishop takes, then you have the move b4, forking the queen and the bishop. So so that pawn can't be taken, and white is just a pawn up at this point. So my opponent continued bishop e7, bishop d3, and then he castled, and then I castled. And castling, if you'll notice, is actually a mistake, because now he can take this pawn. And the thing is, I'll try the fork, but he can take here with check, and then move the queen away. Where does it say? Queen to d8, queen c7. Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. And he's just won a piece there. So the fork doesn't work. Has he won a piece? Let's count. I have 2 pieces. Yeah, he's won. We won the bishop there. So so it's safe to grab that pawn, and I can't play the fork trick. But my opponent played f6 instead. So and now having castled and feeling relatively secure, I went ahead and played the move b4, holding on to the pawn. I didn't want to give him the chance to win that pawn again. The queen went back to c7, and now I took on f6. Let's see, was that the right move there? Oh, yeah, it's one of the moves. Okay. Bishop takes f6, and then I defend the pawn with the rook. And he plays rook to d8, intending to play the move d5 to d4. So I went ahead with knight g5, trying to get something going on the king side. And this is still okay. And he played the move d4, so following through with his plans. But that's actually a mistake, because he's ignored my threat to his pawn here, and now bishop takes h7 is really the best move. I mean, it's not about winning the pawn, it's about making the king position awkward. So if the king goes to h8, which is the only other move, the queen to h5 is pretty deadly, setting up a discovered attack. So king goes to f8. And then it says, oh, okay, either one. I take back over here. What's interesting is that black wins some material in this sequence, because bishop takes is with check, king has to move, and then the bishop can come here to b2, hitting my rook and hitting my queen simultaneously. So it looks like black might be getting back in the game, but the problem is that this attack with queen to h5 is just too strong. So it doesn't matter if I give up the exchange here. It might even be better for black to retreat his bishop, because when the bishop exchanges itself for a rook here, it leaves the g7 pawn undefended. But it says rook c to e1. It says this is still strong for white. Rook d5 and bishop to e4. Okay, yeah, opening up a line for the queen to come into the back rank and attacking his rook. So anyway, yeah, white just has a tremendous attack there anyway. So he went ahead and took on c1, and I took back. And taking back was not the best move there. Look at that. So it seems like I should strike immediately. How about any bishop move? It looks like is okay, but I was playing the move bishop g6. Yeah, and that's still good. So just don't worry about the rook and go ahead with the attack. Is the best way to play that. That's kind of interesting. So if we back up here, queen h5 is good. Bishop takes c1, and then, yeah, just going ahead with attack. Move the bishop out of the way so your queen can go into the back rank. And it says bishop e4 is the best place to put the bishop here. I guess that stops his rook from coming into the game. Okay, so as it was played, I took the bishop, intending to move my bishop the next move and thinking I had a strong attack. But he has queen f4. It buys some time because it hits my rook. I play rook to e1. That was one of the choices. And then he plays bishop to d7. But if he had played the move rook to d5, This is a chance for black to stay in the game. So if we look at the material, it is, I'm down the exchange. I have a rook and a knight, whereas he has 2 rooks, and they both have a bishop and a queen. Yeah, so I'm down the exchange, and pawns are about even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a pawn. And he slowed down my attack by pinning the knight here. So it says I should play bishop to d3. Okay, after due consideration, it starts to give a little bit of a stronger value to white here. But the bishop to d3 is a sacrifice, sacrificing a piece, so that the queen can come here with check. And now there's only one move for the king, and then the queen can go to g7 with check. And where does the king go? The king can't run here. This square is guarded. He can go to e8 or d8. King e8, queen g6 check, or king d8, queen g8 check. So it looks like this is still a winning attack. It'll just take some more work. So my opponent made it a little bit easier for me by not playing rook d5. He played bishop to d7 instead. And now pretty much everything wins. So I played bishop here, and he can start running with the king right away here. Yeah, so it's a little bit too casual with this move. What's the best place for the bishop? Bishop to f5. It was interesting. I thought about this move, bishop f5, because that immediately threatens checkmate. But the queen takes on f5 to stop the checkmate. Now you come here to h7 check. I guess it's a forcing move, and now the king only has one move, and now you can go to g7 check. And so black hasn't got any time to organize his defenses. King e8, and knight h7, knight e4, some knight move. Say h7, threatening something here. Yeah, checkmate with the knight on f6. Bishop c6. Yeah, going for cheap checks, and then knight f6 here. Threatens mate and forces the queen to take on f6. So you end up massive amounts of material there. So that's the way to play it. So it's this bishop f5. It's important that it gains a tempo. When you play bishop to g6, as I did in the game, it gives black one move to start running with this king, and king e7, apparently he can survive for a while longer, with still some advantage to white. Okay, he played bishop to e8 instead, and now the queen comes in, delivers his check, and yeah, this is a forced mate. Bishop takes is the way to get the forced mate, but this wins massive amounts of material. Played e5, and here check. And he resigned here. So king e6 would have been the move, and then bishop f7 check. King e7. Bishop b3 check. King e8. Okay, because all these squares are now covered. And then knight to d3 check. Okay, attacking the queen. That's what I saw. I had a discovered attack on the queen, which is going to be good enough. And no matter where the queen goes, the queen just goes to block. The king has no moves, so the queen goes to block somewhere, and then you take it, and that's checkmate. Okay, cute little mate there. Yeah, after knight e5 check, my opponent just resigned. Yeah, there's a simple way of just winning material with king e6, which is forced, and the knight d3 check will win the queen. So, well, some obviously a lot of imprecise moves there in that game, but interesting attack anyway, and some cute tactics. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again later. Bye.